It is a great honor and a privilege to introduce Eva Freedman. Your maiden name was Mannheimer, and you were from Bratislava, Slovakia. And Miriam, there was an amazing article that was written about you.
This was written in 1995. This was the first time I was on television, or the V-Day in 1995. So it must be related to that. I was on a television interviewed first time with other few people. Every first time I told to public openly about my life. Up to then I never spoke about it.
And to your children?
Oh, my children knew, but they were too young to understand it very well. Of course they knew. But this article, what was written in a newspaper called the Times Group newspaper on Thursday, 29th of June 1995, Memories of a Holocaust Survivor. Miriam Freedman and her family found an unlikely hiding place from the Nazis during the Second World War, reported by Nicholas Lampert. Her name may not be as famous as Anna Frank, but the story is just as incredible. Miriam Freedman, who lives in Finchley, spent almost the entire of the Second World War hiding from death in a building that was a headquarters of the Nazis. At times she and her family were hiding behind a false wall while the Nazi worked out in a gym near another room. A sneeze or a cough would have meant immediate death for both them and the Gentile protectors. Miriam Freedman was featured on BBC recently on V-Day celebrating program after being contacted by a Finchley documentary maker, Patrick King. He told of his admiration of her and the three other survivors he met. The best thing about these people is that, considering what they have been through, they have no hung up, he said. They are happy to get on with their lives and appreciate living. Mrs. Freedman's story began in Bratislava in Slovakia. By 1940, the Nazi influence was being felt. A decree demanded that all the Jews in the large town leave and go to live in the provinces. Miriam and her family went to live with her aunt in a small town called Nitra, about 50 kilometers from Bratislava. That once a wealthy family of 8 were forced to live in one-bedroom flat. I was always a rebel and hated being cooped up, said Miriam. I wanted to go and play with other children, so I took my Star of David off of my coat and went to some German children who were playing in the park. I told them, I want to play with you. I've got black eyes, and even so they thought I was German because I had a German name, Eva Mannheimer. Because I had a German name. And they asked me, why have you got black eyes? When I got home, I tried to wash the color of my eyes. I wanted the blue eyes like everybody else. The situation worsened as the German arrived in Nitra, but thanks to a friendly Secret Service agent, the Secret Service were called those the Linker Guard. They were not called Nazi, but Linker Guard in Slovakia. And this particular Lincoln Guard was a friend of our family. And he was the first helping us to rescue the first time. By thanks of French Secret Service agents, the family escaped being packed into lorries that were taking them on as other Jews, not on a lorry but train. The family ended up hiding in a top floor flat in the town mill, which was the area's smartest building where Miriam's uncle was working. In those days it was a nice building. It was there that they were hidden for the rest of the war by Pernik, the caretaker, and the mill accountant William Gavalovich and his fiancée Helena Galova. For most of the time they lived in that flat, scarce to move loud. Step was forbidden. Talk was forbidden. Every flush in the toilet was forbidden. Everything was secret and fearful. Whenever the Germans were in the area, they made the mill their headquarters. The family then had to move down to the cellar, where they just about exist behind a false wall. We could not talk, we could not walk. We had to stay there in utter silence in a tiny space just bigger as my fireplace, said Miriam. And to make things even worse, the German made the rest of the basement the gym. So the soldiers can go downstairs and exercise. As the Nazi worked out, Miriam and her family were hiding in fear. The provisions were brought by Pernik, who has put his life in danger. Every time he tried to help them, he was in the same danger as we. We could not talk, we could not walk, we had to stay there until silence is a tiny space just bigger than my fireplace. The closest shave with death came when the Germans were tipped off that there were Jews hiding in the building and demanded Pernik to show them every room because he had the keys of all the flats. Pernik slipped upstairs for a second and he told us, "This is the end, I cannot help you anymore. Because I can't take you to the basement." Because we had a flat and a basement. When it was a little bit quieter, we went upstairs to the flat. We tearfully suggested that we turn a gas. There was a bed sitter and a gas ring. He told us to put on the gas ring. But Miriam, who was child, about 7, would not let them, saying, "We rather jump out the window than we die with gas suffocation." This move saved the family. Pernik managed to get the German drunk and duped them into thinking that they had already been in that flat. Because they were so drunk, he wasn't quite aware anymore that he wasn't in that flat. The only flat that he didn't enter in the whole building. Recall those days, Miriam, who is now a yoga teacher, said, "We are very so lucky to find people like Pernik and William and Helena. If that for them, we would have been died."
And Miriam, how old were you at this time?
It's nice outside. What do you mean? I would say, if it was 43, I would have been 9. If it was 44, I was born in 34. Could have been 9, but I think I was 7. I don't know why my mother told me I'm 7. But whatever reason, maybe it was for some reason, she wanted me to feel younger, but I think I was about 9.
Miriam, if you could, you
Let it come in.
You did a very special thing. You got an award at Yad Vashem for the family that saved you. Families. If you could read.
Yad Vashem praise Slovakian heroes. 18 Slovakians have been honored for risking their lives to save Jews in the Second World War. And a London woman is among the survivors who have joined in paying tribute to them. The youth has been recognized as righteous Gentile by Jerusalem-based Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial Organization at a ceremony held in Bratislava, attended by the President of Slovakia, Michael Kovac. Miriam Freedman, who is a yoga teacher and a therapist, was born in Bratislava and now lives in Finchley, paid tribute at the ceremony to Gavrilowitsch and Pernik family to whom she owes her life. She told the audience of 200 how they had hidden her and 7 other members of her family in a mill also occupied by the Gestapo. Can you imagine the risks they took to make sure the house guests never met? They placed themselves in a perilous situation, the risks their life to save ours. Joel Scheer, Israel ambassador to Austria, who is also accredited to Slovakia, praised the Slovak heroes for the courage, day after day, week after week, some months after months. He expressed regret that 50 years took later for those heroes to be honored. During the long time under the communist regime, we were prevented from expressing our gratitude to them, but we have not forgotten and shall always remember. Of 90,000 Jews who lived in Slovakia in 1939, only about 20,000 survived the Holocaust. During the war, Slovakia was ruled by a Nazi puppet regime by a Catholic priest named Joseph Tiso and his fascist Hlinka Guard. In Slovakia they called them Hlinka. Slovakia, 3,000 strong Jews community has a voice concern over the organized, enduring, aggressive campaign by present-day Slovakian nationalists and glorify Tiso rehabilitation as a Nazi. I can't understand that. I can never understand. They wanted to honor him again because he was a priest. Nobody can understand because the regime at that particular time, when I was there, was obviously not Nazi, but wanted to honor a Catholic priest.
But Miriam, you did an amazing thing to get the recognition at Yad Vashem.
Well, I had to.
We want to try and find the people, right?